Yes. Okay, Brian's going to tell you about guerrilla gardening.
Thank you very much. Okay, it works. Good stuff. Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name's Ryan, and I'm a guerrilla gardener. I like a good glass of wine, pizza, long walks on the beach, and going out at night armed with a shovel, my watering can, some compost, and a variety of plants. And gardening. A bit of a weird way to spend a Friday night, but I do it. It's something I do without permission. I mean, this is what guerrilla gardening is. It's going out into bits of land without permission and just planting it up. Whether it's municipal land, private land, doesn't matter. What matters is that those spaces are neglected and they're not being used. And it's a waste of space, and that's something that I have an issue with, and there are many others around the world that have an issue with. But how does this relate to the march against Monsanto? I'm going to get to that. Let's look at where this started. I mean, the original reason people got into guerrilla gardening was as a protest against how land was being used. It started in the States in the 70s. People were like, there's all this open land, so we're going to just occupy it. We're going to go squat, plant things, and whatever. This is in a world where population's growing, we have issues of climate change, people were waking up to it at that time. We can't have space being neglected like this, being left undeveloped, and just rock and dirt everywhere. If we come to more recent times, we have people like Richard Reynolds, based in London. He moved from the English countryside into central London, into a block of flats, and realized he didn't have anywhere to garden, and gardening was a big part of his life. So he found a little place along the edge of his flat, tried to get permission to plant in it, and couldn't, but he went ahead and did it anyway. For him, it was about getting his hands in the soil, just for the pleasure of gardening. But everyone has a different reason for doing it. You go over to America, go to South Central, South Los Angeles, you have someone like Ron Finley. And his issue is food security. Around him he's seeing fast food chains, liquor stores, and vacant lots. A lot of unhealthy people, and a lot of hungry people. So instead of just complaining about it, writing a Facebook post about it, he went out and did something. And he started planting on the verge in front of his house, so that he could share that with people. Yes, it was about providing food for himself, providing food for people around him, but it also became an educational space. He was able to bring his friends together, bring other people from the community together, and share a bit of the skills. You go over into the UK again, you have an initiative like Incredible Edible Todmorden, which again is about food security. But they're part of the Transition Town movement, which aim to get communities off their reliance on fossil fuel energy. And as we know, our food system is dominated by fossil fuels. That's how we get most of our food these days. So for them, they want to take over vacant space inside the city and in places that would draw a lot of attention. So they go to the front of police stations, start planting pumpkins and sunflowers and maize in front of the police station. At train stations, on the platforms, they start planting. But for them, it was food security. It was about self-reliance. And now they're getting massive support from the city as well. If we now come to South Africa, we know that we have a massive unemployment rate. Yeah? So that means people are struggling to get food, and good food especially. We also know that we have a lot of open space. I mean, like, I live in the suburbs, they're boring as heck, but there's at least 3 parks in my neighborhood. And when you walk through there, you drive through the neighborhood, what do you see? You see blue gums, you see pines, and you see big lawns, which are completely unproductive. They serve no purpose. What you don't see are people. You don't see people using the parks these days. When I was a kid, we used to go out and play in the park, climb the trees. Today it's TV game series and all that, pretty much the same thing adults do. So this is a resource that's not being utilized. But we know that we have an issue with food security, and that's really rude. The other thing that food security is not just a local problem, it's a global problem. The other global issue we have is human-induced climate change. And I say human-induced because we're playing a big part in how the climate is changing today. And that's one of the factors involved in that is how food is grown. And we're losing diversity of plants, we're losing species. And this is largely because of our agricultural system. So with that in mind, knowing that we have all this open space in the city, there's 2 ways that we can give the middle finger to the likes of Monsanto. One, simply by growing your own food, organic, heirloom. You've been given a whole lot of seeds today, I suggest you plant them. Yeah, thank you, Organic Footprints. And not just in your backyard, which is where you should be starting, But going out into those public spaces, going into parks, replacing the lawn with forests. You go to, I think it's in New Orleans, permaculturists have taken over one of the city parks and are planting a food forest that is endorsed by the city now. So great work being done. The other thing is, if our agricultural system, which Monsanto and the likes play a big role in messing things up, they're killing off biodiversity, killing off ecosystems. In the city, we're losing those as well due to mass urbanization and all that. But we can give another middle finger to the likes of that by taking back the city, by planting things, by planting ecosystems. A lot of people separate food gardening with indigenous gardening or growing flowers or whatever. But that's not the case. They're actually very much, they should be integrated with one another. And like Larry would have said with permaculture, you go into any permaculture garden around the world, you'll see a mixture of indigenous and exotic plants. So we can do the same now in our parks. We can make our public spaces more productive, and we can make them beautiful and indigenous, bring life back into the city. Create ecosystems again, closer to home, rather than out there or leaving it to the Barkens Valley to just be those rich biodiverse areas. Our city is a 5-biome city. Does anyone know about that? Do you know what that means? It means we have 5 different groupings, climatic and geographic groupings of flora and fauna in the city. Globally, that makes us a biodiversity hotspot. And where do you see this? You see it maybe a bit in the Barkens Valley, parks on the edges of the city, but not inside the city. So we should do something about that. Why not? It'd be a lot of fun. So, my suggestion to you is go out. I usually go out under the cover of darkness because I don't know. I like to be alone when I do these things. I don't know. I like to be alone when I do these things. It's a bit therapeutic for me. But grab a friend, find a site, do your research, see what things would be appropriate for that site. Choose things that will be easy to grow, things that don't require a lot of maintenance, because it can be very discouraging if you're planting something that needs to be watered every day and it's far from where you walk or on your route to work. You go back and it's dead. That just puts you off. So choose something that's easy. Indigenous stuff, veggies, bulbinella, things that are local here, grow a lot easier. Don't require much maintenance. And put it on, choose your sites on a route that you go past just about every day, so you can always maintain it. Or put a little sign there for other people to see, like, look, proudly planted by your friendly neighborhood guerrilla gardener. Please water me if I'm looking a little dry. Yeah. That's the great thing with this. It's not just about planting and beautifying the city. There's very much a strong social element to it. People are coming together over gardening. You'd be surprised that people say it's not about how many gardens they planted over the course of the year, but I met all these cool people who are keen to just get their hands dirty with me. And that's really great. I've made new friends. So go out, choose your plants, do your research, and then also share that with people. Take photos. We've got a page on Facebook. If you go to Secret Sowers SA, you'll find us there. It's been a little inactive over recent months. We've been busy. But share your stuff there. If you find a site also that you want to plant up, tell us. We'll get the troops there. You just got to tell us, this is where I want to plant, this is what I want to plant here. I could really use some help. And we'll get everyone together and we'll do it. And we'll share that with everyone. And we'll be part of a global movement to really take back our cities and bring life and color back into the cities. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so if you feel like being rebellious, you can go undercover guerrilla gardening. Might as well be constructive.